All right, it's time to talk Mach. This is the 2022 Mach Z or Mach Z, however you want to say it. It's got a lot of moxie. Thank you, Energy Power Sports. Let me test ride this thing. It's available for purchase right now. It's a really nice unit. I haven't had much time on a 4-stroke turbo, and this has been a first experience. We did 350 kilometers yesterday, putting on a couple hundred today, and it's a great sled. I can see why the Mach is probably one of the best values for if you're looking for a used snowmobile and something that's more modern. You get the smart shocks. You get a really nice 7.8-inch panoramic gauge. I forgot how lovely that gauge is. It's really nice to look at. This one, they've got the glove box extension with the heated phone mount in it. My phone is actually shooting this video, but we've been running maps in this all weekend, and it's been awesome. This one also has the auxiliary high beam LED Skidoo lights. Energy Power Sports put the B2 Stingers LED headlights in it, so at night it's super bright. Smart shocks are incredible. You got 3 settings: Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus. Instantly when you switch between those modes, you feel it in the suspension, and it monitors the suspension 50 times a second. So you hit a big G out and it's adjusting for that landing before you actually feel it in your body. It's got a really comfortable wide seat on it. That's something you either will love, or you might want to swap that out for a harder, thinner seat. If you're looking at cruising big miles, doing a lot of touring, and you want to blow away your buddies, this is a sled for you. It's a hard one to beat. The thing handles in turns. If you know those big 90-degree turns you come up to, you can just lean out a little bit and brap through it. This thing just keeps going. I did learn a little trick for driving it. You know, come from a 2-stroke, you're in the turns, like the twisty turns like this. You're going along and you let off the throttle. Well, this will actually give you the grunt and blow off. If you keep in the throttle a little bit on the 4-stroke, it'll actually keep you close to that power band. So going through the twisties in a tight forest, you can get this thing to really light up. That was one of the tricks I had to get used to going from a 2-stroke to a 4-stroke, is just learning to not let that throttle right out. Just bring it back a bit and keep it spooled. And then that way when you come up to that next turn, it'll actually keep you in the power zone, and it'll actually pull. Once you get it up to speed, mid-range, 70 miles an hour, and you get on that throttle, it'll pull. It's that's where it loves to play. It loves the high speed, the Cochrane, the Quebec, you know, those big high-speed straight runs. This thing is gonna perform for you. I'm very happy with it. People have been asking me for a while, Gary, I hope you become a 4-stroke guy. And after riding one of these for a weekend, it's not too far away. I remember this thing when it came out in 2022 model year, and Drew and I were down at the Energy Power Sports open house, and they unveiled this sled, and people went nuts for a very good reason. The very first sled with 180 horsepower, 900 Ace Turbo R engine in it, with the smart shocks, with the nice gauge. It's got a 137 skid on it. So when you're talking about value today, how does it stack up to newer sleds? It's got all the technology on it that you'd ever want, and then some. Interesting thing with 4-stroke turbo, it's got an eco mode for economy. The eco mode would be something that if you're just, we weren't really giving it hard all day, so I put it in eco mode, and it just gave me that little gentle power, a little slower coming on, and yeah, it was no problem to ride. When you get into areas where your buddies are starting to get a little bit more rambunctious, you can put it into sport mode, and you can see it gives you an extra 400 RPM, keeps you in that power band. So, you know, before I actually got my hands on this unit, I heard there were some complaints about the throttle. And I think if you're in economy and you're trying to get this thing to move, you can see here, it's not going anywhere. But as soon as I put it into sport mode, we'll let that get up. It's right there. You can see it starting to move. And it makes a lot of cool noises like that. So there is a launch mode on this, and I won't launch it right here because we're in a bush. So you put it in sport mode, it will beep. You hold the brake, and then you give it throttle. It'll go into two-step, and then you just let off on the brake, and it'll launch you.
Full throttle.
But it actually has the joystick knob control for your gauge. You can run half the screen as a map, BRP Go. You can plug in your Bluetooth devices like your headsets. You listen to audio. You have your volume control for that here. I think we've talked about in that detail when I've had my 2022. This is the same setup that my 2022 had. I didn't mind that knob at all. Easy to maneuver once you get the hang of it, and it was kind of intuitive. Forward adjustable riser, I love that. That's something that the previous models had. You don't see it on the newer sleds. You can still buy it as an option, but this has it as standard. And yeah, the glove box is pretty amazing, this extension. So I've got my balaclava in there, but there's lots of room. It's quite deep. Brought an extra cord just in case, and away we go. Energy Power Sports put the optional tunnel protector on there. It's we love that product, and it's nice to see that they put it on some of their sleds that they've got for sale. You actually have extra storage in this rear seat compartment. You know, it's kind of a fun retro callback on this. The older sleds used to have a similar box in the back of the seat. You could throw an extra jug of oil in or anything like that, but you know, looking back at this from 2022, it is the Mach Z. It was built for performance, so they made it a little bit lower. Just like if you remember the 2005 Mach Z, it was a low, slung low, nice and hand down to the ground, ready to attack. Lots of power. That's the claim to fame for this sled, and this thing raises the bar like no other. The Mach had the unique smoked handguards. Also came with the factory smoked windshield, where they're clear on the other models, so it gives it a more unique look. It has actually the bronze gold bumper and spindles, as well as a rear bumper and accents on the seat. It's a pretty gorgeously appointed snowmobile, if you ask me. This is the intercooled turbo, and the turbo sits down in there. Again, the nice thing about 4-strokes is you change your oil once a year, and low service to worry about, unlike a 2-stroke. You also don't have to worry when you're out on that lake. You can hold that thing to the bar all day, and it'll keep climbing, where you shouldn't be doing that with a 2-stroke, or you're going to be at the garage asking for a rebuild. It's blown my mind. It's a very fast sled, very fun sled, and it's a different mode of riding from what I'm used to doing. And like I said, for touring on this thing, yesterday we did some big miles, and it was very enjoyable on this sled. They're a really good bargain in the used market right now. This one's at Energy Power Sports. You can give them a call. They're in Oakville, Ontario, or look them up online, energypowersports.ca. Very, very cool. So, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below, and we'll catch you on the next video.